Call this meeting to order then. This is the Shelburne Development Review Board meeting of May 16th, 2018. And first of all, I will ask anybody, well, no, first of all, I'll remind everybody that if you're here, you have to sign in, please, so we know who's here. And if anybody has any comments that they would like to make on anything which is not on the agenda, now is the time to raise that. Nope. Then I'll move on to item 3 on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes from our last meeting, which was May 2nd, 2018. So, does anybody have any comments on those meeting minutes? No? So hearing no comments, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our May 2nd, 2018 meeting. Seconded by Ian. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No? Okay, motion carried. What I did forget before we did the minutes is to ask any of the DRB members whether they have any conflicts of interest today on any items. No? Okay. All right, then we'll move on to item 4, which is our design review applications. So first of all, DR 18-10. It's an application by 5573 Shelburne Road LLC for a replacement freestanding sign at the property at 5573 Shelburne Road, which is located in the Village Centre District, the Stormwater Overlay District, and the Village Design Review Overlay District. So I seem to have put mine to the back. Is there anybody here to tell us about this application? Okay, you can step forward. I don't know what I've done with mine.
Yeah, my wife and I, we bought the building in January. We were
okay, wait, hold on.
Sorry.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give in this matter will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name's John Helzer.
John Helzer?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And what can you tell us about the project?
So we're opening a new new establishment at 5573, the former Cafe Shelburne building. We've been renovating the building since January, and we just would like to put a new sign in, basically where the old sign was, in the same structure, and essentially the same dimensions, and that's why I'm here today for a new sign.
And if any DRB members have any comments or questions? Caitlin, did you have anything on this one?
No.
So it says the existing wood posts will be used. How soon they'll be painted?
Yeah, we'll paint them up and clean it up a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Any members of the audience have any comments or questions? No. Then I will make a motion to grant design review approval to 5573 Shelburne Road LLC for a replacement freestanding sign panel as submitted, with the one condition that a sign permit will be required prior to the installation of the new sign panel.
Okay.
Ian seconded. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And the second design review application is DR 18-11, which is an application by James and Kimberly Nassar to build a garage and to rebuild a garage and porch. Garage and porch, right? Because you might not know what I mean. You might not know what I mean if I say garage. Sorry. The property is at 730 Falls Road and located in the Village Residential District, Stormwater Overlay District, and the Village Design Review Overlay District. Is there anybody here to tell us about this application? No? Again, this one does look fairly straightforward. Caitlin, did you have anything?
I don't have any comments.
Any DRB member comments? It's
I would make a motion to grant design review approval to James and Kimberly Nassar Jr. to demolish and rebuild a garage porch at 730 Falls Road as outlined in the application materials, with one condition that they obtain a zoning permit prior to commencement of construction.
I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. So we're running a little ahead despite starting late. But the next item on our agenda is our applications CU 18-02 and SP 18-04, which is an application by Civil Engineering Associates LLC on behalf of RAN Investments Vermont LLC for an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming structure. The proposal includes the construction of a 700 square foot deck on the back of the existing Kwiniaska Golf Clubhouse. The property at 5531 Spear Street is located in the Rural District, Stormwater Overlay District, and the Floodplain and Watercourse Overlay District. So is there somebody here to tell us about this application?
Yes.
Yes, there is. Thank you. Raise your right hand. Anybody who's going to give evidence? So do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give in this matter shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, so maybe an overview. Say your name first.
Kate, do you have that up on, or can you put that up on screen?
I have no access
But-
to anything right now. Our technology is failing us. this
Okay.
evening.
Sorry, I missed that. So to describe the situation, the existing clubhouse sits within the 100-foot setback of Spear Street. And because of that, anytime you propose to expand an existing non-conforming structure, it requires conditional use review, and in this particular case, also site plan review. The applicant is proposing to construct a 700 square foot deck on the backside of the building, basically out of sight of anybody on Spear Street for all intents and purposes. There is a proposed awning over the top of the deck, as well as some landscaping on the backside. Again, not to be seen from the street, but nonetheless to dress up that east side of the deck that faces the golf course. So in this particular case, we actually had worked with the Planning Commission on updating the zoning regulations to actually enable this to happen. Prior to that, it had been precluded from any non-conforming structure from being expanded in any way, shape, or form. They ultimately agreed that that was a little bit of overhanded, little too aggressive of management of existing structures that happen to historically have been placed closer to the street that ultimately were consumed by front yard setbacks that were set back further and further from the street over time. So that being the background, we did submit this particular application. Kate has provided a staff report. There are a number of items that she had asked additional information for. We have provided that to her, but of course, based on the date of the staff report coming out, well, obviously that's not in your package. Things that specifically were in the staff report that she had asked for additional information on was an overall plan of the 93-acre property that showed the side yard, rear yard, and front yard setbacks. We have provided that particular plan to her, and Kate, you can confirm that at any time.
Confirmed.
Yeah. All right. So again, it wasn't a concern except to complete the record as far as that particular issue. We also, there was a question in regard to the height of the structures associated with the application. The fact that, I'm just going to say that the proposed awning is going to come off the back eave of the building. So the height is not excessive. The existing structure is probably no more than going to say maybe 24 feet, but this particular awning will be 15 feet, where the zoning allows structures up to 35 feet in height. So again, we're working all off the back edge of the building as far as both the awning and as well as the porch. On page 4 of the staff report, under item 1910.4, it did ask for some clarification with regards to seating within the clubhouse. With the proposed porch, there is the opportunity to put seating outside. Currently, the building is limited to 80 seats, and the applicant has indicated that in no way, shape, or form will there be more than 80 seats at any one point in time, that somebody can come in and review whether they be inside or outside. So that's basically our grandfathered number, and that's the one that we are committed to keeping by or complying with going forward. So because there's no increase in seating, there's also no increase in water design flows or wastewater disposal requirements. So again, as far as impacts on the municipality, that's part of the conditional use review. No apparent impacts on that end of things. Again, the porch has been something that the members have been talking about for literally decades. It's under the new ownership, it's finally, hopefully, coming to fruition. So in that particular regard, we don't envision that as being something that is going to necessarily attract new people to the facility, but it's actually going to be one that actually provides additional enjoyment for the members and for the guests at the club on those sunny days when we do have them, to be able to be outside to enjoy food and beverage. I guess that's kind of enough introduction for now, and now might be a better time for questions.
One of the comments in the staff report says that, well, it comments on the lighting at the bottom of page 3. So, Caitlin, it notes that the lighting is currently non-conforming.
Yeah, so they haven't proposed any changes to the lighting. So typically we don't go in there and say, hey, you need to change that.
Okay.
But it's just a comment I thought I'd add in there just as an FYI to you guys. But yeah, I mean, Dave, you can confirm that there's no proposed changes to the lighting or any additions.
That is correct.
And,
basically,
okay.
the golf course operates on a daylight version of things, and that's why we don't propose any additional or new lighting on the outside.
Okay.
A question, the non-conforming lighting that's in existence today, is it shining on the new deck?
No, I believe that's shining out to the existing parking lot under today's conditions.
So any lighting that's associated with the new deck, will that be conforming lighting, conforming to the new standards?
There's no new lighting proposed.
So let me rephrase the question. Any lighting shining on the new deck, will it be conforming or non-conforming?
I'm thinking that the lighting that would shine out on the deck would be more internal. There isn't any outside lighting that shines in that direction. Hi, Gail. No, so I guess the answer is no.
Okay. As a board member, I would be concerned that if there was going to be lighting on the new deck, I would wonder why it could not be conforming, because we want to make sure we...
Oh, any new lighting, absolutely.
Any new lighting goes on the deck. Okay. Cool, thank you.
Yep.
So the last page of the materials is a sort of a depiction of what the proposed new deck's going to look like with the awning. Is that right?
Oh, unfortunately, you got the black and white version. Yes, that's generally the character.
Right. So that's literally just an outside space, and like you just said, there's no lighting.
That is correct.
Okay.
And going back to the 1910.4, as far as the seating. So there's not going to be any change in the seating. And if we're going to be shifting things, was it from the west side of the clubhouse to outdoors, what is the plan for the west side of the clubhouse?
So right now, there's seating in, that really should say the east side. That's my typo.
I don't recall seeing.
Oh, good Ian one. Yeah, you're right there. Not much on the west side to be shifted over. No, that's a typo. That should have said east side.
Okay.
And right now, the idea is to basically open up that east side that happens to be in a circulation area outside of some of the bathrooms, and to basically take those seats under appropriate weather conditions and just put them out on the porch. So we shared that. That statement was made by the owner a long time ago before anybody was asking questions about how the area was going to be managed. So it's been one that's been pretty consistent from top down.
So the landscaping. Caitlin, did you have a concern or not with the proposed landscaping and the bond?
I don't have a concern with the landscaping at all. I mean, I think it's going to be an attractive addition, the deck. So I'm not concerned that they even need to do landscaping, especially since it's at the back of the building and isn't providing any screening or anything like that. So, I mean, the regulations do say that landscaping plans shall be prepared by a qualified professional. But that being said, they aren't necessarily required to put in additional landscaping with this. So I guess that's something to take into consideration. They just kind of, I suppose, did the better thing and added landscaping. So that might be something you guys want to discuss. It might not be something that you're terribly worried about. But I don't have any concerns with the landscaping.
Okay. Do you have any members have thoughts?
I'm not terribly concerned about it. I mean, I imagine as a golf course, they're probably going to want to make it look nice anyway. If it's going to be a place where they're going to encourage people to be. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So there's a proposed condition that the landscaping bond shall be provided. Would we still like to go with that, or?
Personally, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
They're pretty good at keeping things alive, golf courses.
Yes.
It's in their best interest, so.
So we want to remove the condition that requires a landscaping bond?
I'd be okay.
I would be inclined to think we don't need it. Right.
Agree.
Okay. Okay.
Section 1920.2 and the 17.5% expansion of the non-conforming structure. That's really just for our information because it's less than 25%, right?
It is just for information. So in the future, if they wanted to expand any more, you know, we would want to keep that number in mind about the already existing expansion. So yeah, it's not a concern comment. It's just they're meeting it, and this is why.
Yeah, it's more a record-keeping component. The Planning Commission was pretty clear that the 25% maximum expansion of an existing building is total. You can't come back and nibble at the edges and end up with more than 25%. So this is the initial, staff report or hopefully permit that will basically identify what the square footage is that's associated with this particular permit and will represent, again, the next step or limitations in any future additions on the building.
And I think the only comment in the staff report that we haven't touched on so far is 1910.4, which is essentially the conclusion that it's not a historic building anyway. So.
No, as part of Act 250, we were also required to deal with historic structures, and we worked with the Division of Historic Preservation to get a better understanding of the background of the building, and ultimately they came to the conclusion that based on photographic evidence actually taken from the Free Press back in 1965, that the building had been added on a number of times to the point where it is no longer a contributing architectural feature, or at least of value in this particular area. So they felt that if it was non-contributing, then obviously anything that we do to it is not going to be impacting the historical character that might have been there if nothing else had happened.
Okay. Any other comments? No, concerns? No. Okay, so we decided we don't need the landscaping bond. So, I mean, maybe my only remaining, not concern, but sort of question is around the height. I mean, if we don't have anything concrete that says it's not going above 35 feet, we only have you sitting there and saying the building itself is not 30. Do you see what I mean?
What we do is we do have a
Say that
picture.
it can be as depicted.
As depicted.
Okay, so that can be a condition of, right.
I think
As
just by
depicted in your-
inspection, it appears to me that it's less than 35 feet.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
We
I
measured it
just-
and it's 15 feet.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, yeah, I just think we should have something in there that, but
Well,
yes,
photographic
as,
record will-
yeah, okay, as depicted. And anything, should we have anything about not going above the 80 seat capacity that it currently is?
That's already in the,
It's,
in the laws.
okay,
that would be good for the record. Sure.
Could put it in for the record.
as a condition.
I'll take a stab at it.
Okay,
I would move to finalize the record and close the hearing for application CU 1802 and SP 1804, and authorize staff to prepare a decision indicating approval. With the following conditions. One, that the structure shall not exceed the height of the existing building and is built as depicted on the rendering in our package. Secondly, that a zoning, did I read that already? Zoning permit? I can't remember. Zoning permit shall be required. And third, that the seating capacity would be limited to 80.
put in what's there at number 3 as well, the landscaping?
Yeah, okay. Landscaping should be installed prior to expiration of the zoning permit issued for the project.
Seconded by Lisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No.
Thank you for
Motion
your time.
passed. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Okay. All right. So then we'll move on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is applications SUB 17-05 and DR 18-01, which were continued from our previous meeting. This is an application by Vermont Integrated Architecture on behalf of the town of Shelburne for a final plan and design review for a proposed mixed-use planned unit development. The properties are at 5376, 5420, 2141, 2137, and 5404 Shelburne Road. They're located in the Village Centre District, the Village Design Review, Village Core, and Stormwater Overlay Districts. And who is here to update us on these applications? So, anybody who's going to give evidence, please stand and raise your right hands. Do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give to us in this matter shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury? Everybody does, thank you. All right. So, when we were last here, we almost got there, but we just had concerns about the landscaping plan and the lighting. And I do see that some further information has been provided. If anybody wants to talk us through those lighting plans, would that be a good place to start?
Peter Gibbs, I will try. So yes, at the last hearing, we were talking about landscaping and lighting plans. I believe there were 3 lighting plans that were presented to the board. A, B, and C. I can't.
Couldn't tell. The numbers were too small. Let's just start fresh.
Okay. Wow, I wish Andrea was here. And there were three, say it again? I think there were three options. And
We have a summary of the three options.
you have the summary of the three options. And-
Which talks us through it, and then
Okay.
pictures, which may or may not be helpful.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have those with me. But there were three options. One was, I believe, keeping the lighting similar to what it is, something in between, lighting partial of the entrance. There we go. And then a third one. And I'm going to turn it over to Andrea when she comes, but a little bit about things other than lighting. We have made an amendment to, we do have a stormwater permit, and we have made an amendment to the state of Vermont for to revise that permit for less impervious and less storm water treatment required, and we expect to receive that amendment very shortly. So we are having a bid walkthrough tomorrow, I guess. And that's about all I know at this point. But I was wondering if Andrea is okay. Hey, come on up. How are you? We want to talk about the lighting. And I think you have to be sworn in. Okay, can we do that again?
Swear
Yeah,
in
yeah.
me, Megan, and John Askew, our electrical engineer,
Okay.
and Charlotte Albers, our landscape designer.
Okay.
Okay, so anybody who needs to be sworn in, please stand and raise your right hands. Do you all hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give us in this matter shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us back here again this evening. My name is Andrea Murray, architect with Vermont Integrated Architecture. We are back here again this evening to discuss with you the two outstanding topics from the last meeting, the landscape for the project and the lighting, and specifically the photometrics. We have a landscape plan that Charlotte has beautifully developed for us, and she will discuss that with you in a moment. And we have lighting photometric plans as well, and there are a couple of options there that I will describe as we get to that. So I'd like to just say that Charlotte Albers, the owner of Paintbox Gardens, has a long history with our library here in Shelburne. And we've been meeting with Charlotte for a while now, but we have officially, she has been engaged to work on the design, and that's what you have in front of you. You have a key plan, which shows the overall site. That's what's in your packet.
She just handed me these drawings. Are these the same as what was submitted and dated May 9th, or are these?
So what has been submitted is for lighting, and we'll get into that in a moment. And then there's also a rendered plan, just that is a little easier to see what is existing and what is new. There was one small change on the key, which was one tree. And Charlotte can describe what that was, particularly not just a change of a species of a tree, not the specific tree. But those are the same landscape plans that you have in your packet. They're just rendered with some color so you can see the area that is being addressed and what is existing to remain, just to make it a little more clear. You also have some lighting photometrics that have a few adjustments to them based on comments from Caitlin and Dean and our meetings with them reviewing the staff report. So I'll turn this over to Charlotte for an introduction.
I guess they're all the same.
We can walk you through it as we go, so you don't have to.
There's one pile.
Here.
I'm just taking one of each, is that what I'm doing? Is that what I'm doing? Okay, that's all right. I think one of each stapled together. One lighting, one landscaping, and one 8.5 11. So, and these are all of them.
So this is new materials that Caitlin doesn't yet have, or that she does?
Caitlin has these.
She does have,
by
okay, so they are already part of the record, essentially.
They are part of the record.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Is Caitlin with us?
Yes, just about on the phone.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Hi, Caitlin. Thank you.
Yeah, the one thing I'm going to say is it might be a good idea to move those color renderings into the record. I just received them, well, outside of that week. So maybe we just want to do that to make the record clear.
Okay, so
So we'll start, you should have,
just,
this drawing is the key plan here. So this, if we start here.
okay, so shall we just say then, so there are 3 drawings stapled together.
There are 3 landscape plans stapled together.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we should just have these. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. LA-1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. So shall we just mark these as Exhibit 1A? As admitted, okay. Yeah, then I think do I have to make a motion, Caitlin, that these are admitted?
Yes.
So then I'll make a motion that we admit LA 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, which should be marked as Exhibit 1. Mark that
Good. Good.
into the record.
Second.
Seconded by Jeff. All those in favour? Okay. Yeah, we'll get there.
We have another one actually too.
We will. Should we do this one first as Exhibit 1 and then?
If you want to call this Exhibit 2, it's sheet L1.4, that's the lighting plan.
Okay, we're going to do the lighting plan now as well. So Exhibit 2 is the lighting plan, which is L1.4C revised. Okay, I will make a motion to admit that as Exhibit 2.
Yeah, this one into Exhibit 3.
And
That is a description.
the written summary of the proposed lighting options.
And
Revised
the
too.
items that are, so it's the same narrative that was included in your packet, but there were a few clarifications. And so we noted those in red and highlighted them in red so you could just track what the modification was. It's a slight clarification that came out of staff comments.
Thank you.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion for Exhibit 2 and Exhibit 3 to be admitted. Thank you, seconded by Lisa. All those in favour? Aye. All right. We've done them all. Exhibit 2 is the lighting plan L1-1.4C revised. Exhibit 3 is a written summary of the proposed lighting plans.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So just to orient all of you, LA 1.1 should be on the top of your packet. And this is the key plan for the landscape, and I'll let Charlotte give you an overview of the concept for the landscape in this project.
This is on? Okay. Okay, I'm just going to read the overview, which you all have with your materials here. And if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer those for you. For the master landscape plan, this sustainable landscape plan utilizes Northeast region native plants that are adapted to the specific site conditions, create areas for multi-age exploration and learning, and enhance and beautify the building. To support the new Pearson Library as an important community center for the town of Shelburne, the landscaped areas are designed to be welcoming and to offer year-round visual interest while supporting biodiversity and filtering rainwater runoff. The library will be a legacy building, and the landscape design will benefit future generations while also creating a legacy of stewardship. So you'll see on your site plan that the entrance to the building has a nice, what I call welcome garden. And it has some nice plantings along the south facade. It's primarily shrubs. And the welcome garden is low scale in height for visibility, and everything cited, as I said in the overview, is, you know, tough native species that have great fall and winter appeal as well. Any questions about anything else? The back, we could talk about the back as well. The back is where the ground is contoured, and we have a filtration design there. The organic kind of drawing that you see is the rain garden, which is a depressed area for collecting excess rain, and it will not be a wet pond. It's just going to slow down the filtration of the runoff. Everything in that space is native to the Northeast and has been picked for those site conditions. And all along the perimeter there's a variety of shrubs, and we do have some larger trees to beautify the setting from the street view as well. Yes, Andrea is asking me to talk a little bit more about the plant selection. The term workhorse is coming up. So we were choosing things that are rain garden species. They are workhorse plants because they don't need much coddling or attention. And there's a number of beautiful things for winter interest as well, notably red twig dogwood. And all of these are beneficial as well for pollinators and wildlife.
Question, what type of maintenance do you foresee 5 years from now with the plants? Pruning, things like that?
Very minimal maintenance is needed for this. All of these shrubs, by the way, are drawn at their mature size. So what we have is red stem dogwoods, which really need nothing except occasional cutting out of older canes. We have perennials in that rain garden that will need care, and the garden club and the Friends of the Pearson have been working over the past many years in the old space, and it's expected that will continue with community help. It's not a lot of herbaceous material, it's mostly shrubs.
Can we go back to the front? And a question on the two plantings on the most southern part next to the parking lot, there and there. Are those, what kind of plants are they? Are they low? What I'm thinking about is kids tripping.
Those are really low sea green juniper, 3 feet high. And it's a combination, I think, or it's a combination, are those grasses? Oh, yeah, that's the tufted hair grass, which is about 24 inches tall. And then the other one is a low shrub, aronia. Why do you ask, Jeff?
So line of sight distraction, in my mind, I want clear, undisturbed visibility of what's happening at those cars with people driving by. So if someone's opening a door and walking around, I would be concerned about plants kind of blocking that and getting in the way. Plants everywhere else are fine, but right there, the safety is the thing.
Yeah, they're low. They're under 24.
3 feet?
They're low. They're under 24 inches. They're also herbaceous, meaning they get cut down in the fall.
I'm questioning the necessity of them there. I'm just thinking of, you know, little kids 3 feet tall, 3.5 feet tall, getting out, not being car aware. Safety is like number one. That was the main reason why we wanted that section kind of fenced off from the flow of traffic. I just want to check with the board. I mean, in my mind, landscaping's great, but their clear line of sight to me is priority.
Well, it's possible to go with like a ground-hugging juniper or something. Really stay under 8 inches. Is that what you're feeling like you really want, you know, unobstructed
view of what's happening? Because that intersection's busy, and it's all about line of sight.
That's easy.
Okay. And what's in the front of the parking lot? If we look to the west, no, come down. There, what's that?
Yeah, that is that same mix of soft ornamental grass and a low subshrub,
Okay, I would have the
aronia.
same concern. I'd want, again, line of sight, cars coming the other way and around. Just, again, parking lot, a lot of little kids moving around. We want to make sure they're completely visible at all times. That would be the number one priority.
Cut through
Yeah.
somehow to cut off something that it's low enough that someone coming through is going to be able to see them cutting through it.
I think these are, Charlotte said 24 inches or lower. That
I
would
like
be lower
grass.
than someone sitting in a
Gra-
car.
You want no visual. All right.
Visual impairment at all. Safety is number one.
Well, it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do, but you could just give me a height restriction, and you don't want to go over 8 inches tall.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my input to the board. I mean,
to me, 24 inches doesn't seem excessive for that. I don't see that.
2 feet on top of a curb, little kid coming out. Little kids aren't car savvy, traffic aware. In my mind, it's all about line of sight. 8 inches is my recommendation.
Thoughts, comments?
I mean, I'm fine defaulting in that direction, you know.
To the 8 inches?
Yeah. I mean, plantings can always be changed and swapped out or whatever, but I mean, I'm fine having the default, you know, to err on that side.
But one nice thing about having it be just a little bit taller too is that it would help to shield headlights. So as people come into these parking spots, so you're not blinding headlights.
Line of sight, little kids is number one priority.
How about 12 on that side and 8 on that
That's
side?
fine there. You got my take. You got my drift.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Fine with either.
Can I ask you a question about the backside?
Sure. Let me just make sure I understand what Jeff wants to do on that long berm there. You want to stay at 8 inches or 12 would be okay, interspersed here and there?
The message is low. You have
Yeah.
to feel comfortable
Yeah, I
that
know.
what you are creating is a safe
Yeah.
environment that won't hinder line of sight from other people driving, because you're doing the design. So you have to feel good that what you have fits the environment and the situation that's there. So I will default to your expertise with that.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
12.
She can figure it out.
Okay. Lisa?
Yes. So I'm just looking at the plan for the backside, and I just had a question on
Sure.
the Victor Stanley backless bench and the paved patio. Both of those say alternate/future, and so I just had a question.
I'll let Andrea speak to that.
We are in the process of taking this project out to subcontractors for bidding. We want to make sure we stay within our budget, and we would very much like to build that patio now, if we can afford to do it, along with the benches. It will be a lawn area if we cannot afford it right away, and the library will do their best to construct it as they have the means to do so.
Thank you.
Caitlin, did you have any comments on the landscaping?
No, I think my only comment that was actually looking for something in the staff report was just an updated
Costs, right.
So, but other than that, I don't have any concerns about the amount or the placement or anything like that. I took Jeff's comments down, but outside of that, I'm not concerned. And I mean, the only real reason I'm looking for a cost estimate was really just in case you guys were not satisfied with the amount of landscaping. So we had kind of a number to bounce off of, because that's how we can decide how much more landscaping we can require. So if you guys are all comfortable with the amount of landscaping, I am. Even the cost doesn't necessarily need to be updated. So that's up to you guys.
Okay, you're good, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay, so when you're by good, you mean that we don't need an updated
Correct.
costing?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, I don't think we have landscaping questions. Thank you. Does anybody else in the audience have questions about the landscaping? So, Caitlin, was it only the landscaping that you... Oh,
Hi.
sorry. You didn't get up fast enough. Sorry.
Sorry.
I moved on.
David Hall, and I'm Shelburne tree warden, so I'm very interested in
Did you
the
get
plan,
sworn
and I've been talking with,
Did you get sworn in?
yes. I've been talking with the library, and I hate to bring things up at the last minute, but I didn't really find out what the plans were until Monday. And as far as what Jeff said about in the center island, after 30-plus years of landscaping, shrubbery in the center island, I think that was where you were concerned about the height. Charlotte having herbaceous plants in there makes the most sense because snow is going to get plowed on top of anything that gets put into there, shoveled on top of it, salt's going to go into there. It's going to be one of the hardest sites, so.
Actually, my preference is if that portion is foregone with landscaping, I'm okay with that, too.
That's my 2 cents on there.
Mm-hmm.
The overall, I think she has a great plan. I read it the other day, looked it over. My real concerns may be more with the hardscaping that's being done, particularly on the front. There's the path that's coming through here and going underneath the cedars. And we had discussed not going excavating around the cedars when you were talking about putting the driveway there. My second concern is the trees along the entrance that you're going to be coming right up next to the trunks on 5 ash trees that we have emerald ash borer coming in. My personal preference would be that instead of extending it out both ways, we sacrifice one side or the other and stay further and keep the distance away. And then my personal gripe with the fire department that they want the trees gone here and parking. Trees are my business, and I don't think we should cut trees down just to put in parking. But with everything else that's going on, we need the parking in there. I've been willing to forego that.
Okay, so I mean, I can't see what you're pointing to there, actually. You have a concern with the way the path goes between the existing trees?
We only see one side of it.
The overlay, the,
Oh, the big one, okay, yeah.
this path here.
Yeah.
And then also
So I didn't quite get what your concern was with that, about that path.
We've got 100-year-old cedars out here that survived the storm we had about 10 days ago without losing a branch. While the spruces back here came down, we lost all kinds of stuff in the cemetery and the museum and everything else. And I don't want excavation in the root zone.
Is that the actual drip line of those trees, or is that a guess? I mean, is that when you guys,
I don't know. That's a question.
Surveyor.
So it would be.
Concerns about the actual walkway, what kind of path is that? Is that a concrete sidewalk, or is it just wood chips or something else?
It's noted as a sure path here, so it's not concrete. So it wouldn't be excavated and dug to the extent that, for example, a new concrete.
It won't get dug to the extent.
So what will happen? Is it?
Peter, do you want to address the construction of a sure pathway?
Well, it'll take the topsoil off, the organic off, and then we'll have to put material, the sure pack material. Should I start over? You'll take the topsoil off, the organic off, and then put a material back, a granular material or sure pack material back in. So.
Do you have to take the topsoil off?
Yeah, you do, because it'll compact and,
hold up.
yeah.
I mean, I would think, not knowing if those are the exact drip lines, if they'd taken, normally trees like that, you put some pretty significant protection around the drip line, and as long as people are cognizant when they're working to stay right within the path in that area, I don't think you're gonna impact those trees a lot. All those trees, if you want to protect them, it should clearly be marked on the plans to put snow fence around them to keep people from trampling all over them and parking equipment there, and because that's what'll kill them.
Yes, but when there was discussion about putting the driveway straight out, and we had discussed a distance, and I don't remember, I didn't have a chance to look it up today. With the distance from the trunk that we were looking at as having a protection zone. I'm thinking it was in the 25 feet range as no disturbance, so.
Typically you do it to the drip line of the tree, that's at least in my experience.
That's one method we're trying to come up. The Tree Advisory Committee is currently working on getting a standardized protection together, and I don't have it off the top of my head. But the bigger the tree, the older the tree, the more protection you want to give it.
So clearly during construction, that could all be fenced off.
Correct.
Are you concerned that the type of path that's going to get put in will kill the tree? Or, it's not concrete sidewalk, it's...
I wasn't aware, I didn't know off of the other plan that I read what it was. We're looking to use it as our expert
for the town, so are you more comfortable with that then?
My ultimate goal would be to have no construction underneath those trees. But
We're controlling the flow of traffic, of people. If we don't, the people will be everywhere.
I think that was a suggestion by the DRB at a previous stage, was that this would be a
Channel the people.
actually a good way of dealing with
I think we can probably, if we're only going on the one side, we can probably come to a common ground in there to make, and the fact that it's going to be gravel will require less excavation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
6 inches or something is all you need to do.
Yeah.
So some sort of compromise in terms of just slightly adjusting the position of that path.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And that green tree, that's a new planting, is that correct?
No, that's the existing crabapple. That's.
No, this is the existing crab.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
This
So
is
you,
a new tree.
oh, so you can swing over there. Okay.
And that's, I think Charlotte said these are mature sizings that you've put on here. So that could be shifted slightly if we had to turn, the placement of that could be shifted slightly as if we had to shift this path.
So and that goes back to my point, is that if you take and demark the existing 3 trees there for a protection zone and just swing that thing out a little bit.
Correct.
Maybe you have to slightly move that tree a little bit. There's a light pole base there, but, I mean, that tree's.
Right there.
That's at full maturity, so.
Correct.
We're talking about, what, a 2.5-inch caliper trees going in there probably, or?
We'd be willing to consider moving this tree in this zone.
There you go.
Right.
Slightly adjusting this path to clear the drip of the cedar.
There you go.
Yeah.
Charlotte, in fact, we were just talking about that on our way over here.
So that is a, what is that?
You trying to figure species?
Yeah, I think it's,
Oh,
I think
this
that's
is
supposed to be a crab
This is
apple.
also a crab apple here.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's a pretty small tree. So.
It'll be a 2-inch caliper,
Caliper tree, so.
at planting.
Now, what were your concerns about the entryway?
How far?
It's easier to look on this plan. Let's go back one.
Where's the curb in relation to the existing trees that are remaining?
So we are moving, Peter, you may have to help me here. We are moving the curbs on either side ever so slightly. The driveway is pretty wide right now, a little bit wider than it needs to be for 2 lanes. So I think we're adding about 7 feet.
Is that either side or no?
To,
I don't have a scale.
we are constrained on the south side by the fact that there is a utility pole right here that has almost all the utilities that serve all the facilities on this campus tying into it. A very expensive endeavor to relocate that. So shifting this more to the north is a really hard one to deal with, and it's not just cost, it's a logistical issue in tying into building over here, here, and the new facility. So we split the difference, shifting a little bit this way and a little bit this way. Shifting the whole thing this way presents issues as well in terms of the egress for the fire trucks and making them have to do more of an articulated turn. They want to be able to come out in one smooth move as opposed to So this is the happy medium, and I think it was just a few feet in either direction that we were shifting the curb. And we thought these trees are pretty small at this time, and so it didn't seem that we were going to be cutting their drip lines.
They're going to grow.
Of course
And
they
then
will.
they're going to be a problem for the fire trucks coming in and out because they're much closer, which is one of the reasons the fire department wanted these out, is they're growing out over into their space. As much as I love the trees, these are all ash trees, and we have emerald ash borer in the state now, and it'll be in Chittenden County at some point. My personal opinion would be remove the 5 trees and line it with something else further back from the curb so that that's not going to be a problem. We have too many ash trees in the complex already.
That's a great idea.
You know, then you don't have, you know, you can put the road back where it is, and we can actually have something showier as the entrance. That makes more sense. So that would be my solution.
So your suggestion is to remove the trees and plant something, realign the road, and
Put the right tree in the right place instead of moving the road out and ending up with the wrong tree in the wrong place to be an issue 5 years from or now or sooner.
Yep, that's a good point.
So.
Is it currently the wrong tree in the wrong place, as it is now?
My personal opinion, yes.
Okay.
So, those are my thoughts.
Don't remove trees except ash trees. Right.
No, it's just a matter of time.
It's a matter of time, and you widen the road,
Yeah,
you're
no,
going
I
to
see the
impact the
point.
health of the trees, and the emerald ash borer is going to go after the weakest trees first.
Yeah.
So,
You make a good
save
point.
the healthy trees. If you're going to compromise a tree, and it's an ash tree, it's better off removing it.
Okay.
Any other questions on landscaping?
So what does this mean to the plan? It gets modified?
It would be my hope that you could approve the plan with a condition if these seems like very minor adjustments. And we would be happy to do that as discussed with respect to the path and the drip line of the cedars.
Okay.
Can we do that, Caitlin? Have you gone to sleep? No.
What's that? No. So Andrew was speaking a little bit low, but I had a condition added that the path is going to be slightly adjusted outside of the drip line for the cedars. Is that?
Okay, and we have removal of the ash trees. So now it comes back to we replacing the ash trees, and if we are, okay, we're not. Awesome, because that gets into that site view safety thing. Okay, so good.
Okay.
Charlotte's going no, so
Just remove them.
I'm sorry, Jeff. I thought you were talking about putting in new ash trees?
no, whatever. The old ash trees are gone.
No.
Do you want to do something with that?
Yes, I think you need an entry planting.
Okay.
Because Dave's comment is, Dave's concerns are well-founded, for the emerald ash borer.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think you need some trees along that curb.
Okay.
And whether they're, crabs, two more crabs, or something appropriate for the site,
Okay, talking trees
Yeah.
though, and not shrubs.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So are we replacing different species, same number?
I would think that would be at the discretion of the professional
Yeah.
to determine.
We need to decide.
Let's see if Ms. Albers has any comments. Do you have any thoughts on your, kind of, putting you on the spot here, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, let me look at this here. So what we're talking about the trees on the north side of the entrance there, and there are the 3 on the north and 2 on the south, correct? And those 5 would all come out.
I bring them in.
You put 2 on each side.
I think 2 on each side brought more into the center. That gives better line of sight at Route 7 and also better line of sight as you enter the parking lot.
So you're suggesting replace with 4?
Correct.
2 and to bring them in a little bit so there's a better line of sight at turning in and out of the.
And also in entering the parking area, pedestrian traffic area.
Okay.
Yeah.
What trees? Not ash trees, but
What
something
trees?
else.
Full sun, maybe a serviceberry, could be a small crab apple. We do, the existing tree by Town Hall here that's drawn on your plan is a lovely crab apple. It's nice in a landscape to go with repetition. Crabs are great for wildlife. They're tough. They're beautiful.
Let's
It
go with that.
might be,
We good?
go with a crab apple. It's a
All right.
very Vermont tree.
Okay.
So,
Done. We're trying to get you out of here today.
I know you are. We appreciate it. Anything else on the landscape?
Anything else from anybody on the landscaping? No?
Okay, great.
So,
Well, I'm sorry. Thank you for your comments on the trees. That was good.
So moving into lighting. Great. So you have in your packet, we submitted 3 lighting plans. And I'll just there's a description of each of those. You know, at the risk of repeating ever so slightly, just a quick lowdown of what they are. Lighting plan A demonstrates the photometrics that have to do with this project only. And it does not show lighting on the rest of the site. This is the proposed plan for the project. In discussions with Caitlin and Dean and reviewing these photometrics pretty carefully with them and with our electrical engineer, this plan is in compliance with the bylaws. And there was a clarification that was asked about a building-mounted light on the north side of the building. And we have addressed that by lowering that light. So that is in compliance. So this is a compliant plan, and this is the plan we believe is approvable. Lighting plan B, just for your reference, we thought it was helpful to show the photometrics for this whole area of the site, so you understand how the photometrics of existing lights on the campus also come into this picture. Just one quick thing to point out, we did not have information about lights that are building mounted at the fire department, so that it describes that unidentified area there. And then lighting plan C, hearing your concerns at the last meeting, noting the darker area at the north side of the driveway, demonstrates here's what could happen and how things could be adjusted if we added 2 lights there. Sorry,
Where?
here and here, here and here. Those lights primarily for pedestrian safety in those areas. So per the bylaws, we believe Plan A is compliant. We believe Plan C is feasible. But of course, given cost constraints and new landscaping and stuff, you know, we'd prefer to go with option A, but we could probably make option C work too. So we're hoping we can, you know, discuss these with you and help you kind of come to the solution you're most comfortable with.
I'd be okay saving money on the landscaping on the parking spot. Put those lights in.
I don't think that covers the cost.
say again, what would you be comfortable with?
Trading off on the plants around the parking spot.
Yeah, I don't think that
Just- so-
it's an
I
even
understand.
trade.
So part of our mission is to make sure that we're promoting a safe environment.
Yes.
And you are touching the entrance and exit to Route 7. So that comes under the purview. So that's a great plan that you're showing.
Okay. We're
Caitlin, do you want to speak to that, or do you want me to respond to the prior precedent and approval and the sort of limitation of the Shelburne bylaw?
Still there, Caitlin?
Yeah.
So,
Did you catch that question?
I didn't hear that it was directed at me at all. Everything is a little bit mumbled, so.
I was just asking if you wanted to address the prior precedents, DRB approvals, and the limitation of the Shelburne bylaw related to those modifications, or if you wanted me to clarify that.
Oh, I mean, so in my staff report, I mention it. So like Andrea was saying, all of the proposed lighting is in conformance. There were just a few clarifications. One was already addressed with one of the light fixtures, and I'd just like to circle back around and talk about the hours. So all of the proposed is in conformance, and we'll talk about the hours. And generally speak, so the existing lighting is not in conformance with the bylaws, and from what I understand, the lighting was put in through a grant from the town manager, and so it didn't go through the typical review. But as far as addressing existing non-conforming lighting, just based off of previous applications, I mean, for example, the application we were just speaking about, there's pre-existing non-conforming lighting in the parking lot. The Village Wine and Coffee would be another example where, as long as we're not touching the lighting, we don't usually request applicants bring that into conformance. So just talking about previous applications and how we've addressed that. So I've talked about it with the applicant as well as Dean, and we don't really have any concerns about it. So we just wanted to review that with you guys because it seemed to be a point of seemed to be a conversation last time.
Yeah, so Quinny's not touching their parking lot. If you weren't touching, if this project wasn't touching the entrance and exit to Route 7, I would understand how the pre-existing lighting conditions are there, and we're not messing with that area. However, that portion is being developed, it's being changed, and to say it's excluded from a lighting plan, particularly we're talking about a pedestrian crosswalk, to save a few dollars? I'm sorry.
I'm wondering if from what I gathered from what Andrea was saying, option C kind of addresses the concern about pedestrian safety with lighting. So that's adding lighting. So that lighting is in conformance. So I just think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, you were talking about just generally for the rest of the property, just not getting into the weeds with that. But option C does address what Jeff is saying, and that is feasible.
That's what I'm saying. I like it. Option C is great.
Option C speaks to the concern, as
Correct.
was noted in the narrative that we said.
Yes.
It's specifically addressing the concern that was raised last
Right.
time.
So then you made a comment, or someone made a comment that you'd like to go with A.
Well, we would. It has it's the least expensive option, and it meets the bylaws of, it meets the, to the letter, that meets the bylaws. Because we're not touching the lighting here, we're not required to upgrade the lighting, and that's how this board has ruled on previous applications. Currently, the lighting for driveway here is in compliance. So
I'm sorry, go to the second one. So that's what you're talking about there, correct? So this is how that'll exist if you just make the changes to the new building and not touch the lighting down there, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, now is that in conformance, the entrance and exit to Route 7, where that
Yes,
crosswalk is?
with current Shelburne bylaws.
So we're not dealing with a non-conforming issue down there?
We have, so the blue is the minimum.
No, where the I'm sorry, I interrupted, go ahead.
So the blue is the minimum requirement at parking, so you can kind of follow that all the way around. And then we have to interpolate between the blue and the orange. This is described clearly in the narrative that we provided. You interpolate between the blue and the orange contours to find that walkway lighting that is per Shelburne bylaws within this village core district. And so we can, you can see that this walkway is inside of that, so it's brighter. Yep. This one is not.
That's the one.
Yep. And the other piece of this that is somewhat, I guess, misleading, or the trouble with computer models, is this is not taking into account lighting from the roadway, from Route 7, from any other, like, we are just showing here the lighting that we have. And, you know, just.
So I'm sorry, so that crosswalk right there, that's not part of your project?
Not on the property.
This is the property line.
Oh, okay.
Under separate permit, we work with VCAM to widen this opening here, the curb cut. But this is on their property. And so we have to be careful about spilling light onto that area. We're not allowed to do that.
You're not allowed to.
Per Shelburne bylaws, we're not allowed to do that.
Wow. Okay, I stand corrected.
Okay, so then were we under a misapprehension at the last meeting? Because I thought the reason why we came back for some clarification
It was all the crosswalks in the parking lot.
I can try to clarify that, yeah. So I think last time we did not have lighting at this main island, and we have added that because I think there was a concern of the pedestrian crossing here.
Okay.
And so we've addressed that. And then we wanted to respond to your concern around the entry drive. I mean, we took your comments very seriously, and we went back and talked to Caitlin and Dean, and we're asking them about, you know, how does the standard get interpreted? And so it's, you know, if you're touching the curb, does that constitute touching? You know, and so it's what does touching mean? And so we looked at that the recent precedents have shown that if you're touching the lighting, then you bring the lighting in compliance. But it's not necessary, or if you're, you know, drastically changing something in the area that would change. So that was where we landed, that they, A, as shown, and the A with existing is in compliance with Shelburne bylaws and current precedents.
So if you put A with what you're putting, so that's B right there, and that's what we're going to get, right?
Yeah.
Plus
Yeah,
existing.
so this
All
is
right,
kind
got
of
it.
looking at the whole site.
Got it,
Yep.
okay,
And so
good.
if you follow that around, the B is what we're trying to provide at a minimum for parking. And so
Okay.
you can see we've covered the parking. And then
Yep.
if you follow those orange and blue lines and you looked at the pathways, that's what we're trying to have for more of these pedestrian paths. Shelburne bylaws do have, like, the rest of these paths are really not supposed to be illuminated. We're trying to keep the sort of light down there. And then this orange line is NFPA 101 foot candle level. And so that is sort of safe egress from the building.
Okay.
And so we're trying to maintain that. So that's why we have the orange around the backside here, so that you could get to sort of the public way.
Okay. This is much easier to read than what we had 2 weeks ago.
Thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate this.
So just for the record, I mean, just from what you said, is C even possible because of the impact it has on the V-Trans right away?
See as possible.
Okay.
Here, this is the property line.
Okay.
So this very light purple line
Okay,
is
got
the
it.
amount of sort of light trespass
Okay.
across the property line. So we would be, I mean, it's already, the existing conditions already violating it. So we would
Right.
be matching the
Okay.
violation.
Okay.
So it looks as if then we're actually happy with essentially A, because,
Giving us
A
the
is-
result in a B.
right, the results in a
B
B.
is actually, we just wanted to be clear to show you, yeah, so it's
So
really
A
A or
is
B.
the new
It's
stuff.
the same thing. Yep.
Right,
Thank you.
okay.
Yep.
And so Caitlin, was the remaining question just about hours of operation and which lights were going to be on when and is that?
Right, so just determining, right, the hours of the library, so to determine what lights are going off when, what lights, if any, are considered for safety and security. So just to clarify, just what lights will be on at what hours.
So I can speak to that. The library hours will be the same as they are currently, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 5:30, Tuesday, Thursday, 10 to 8 p.m., and Saturday, 10 to 3. Stop by and get a book. So the Shelburne bylaws say that anything other than non-safety or shall be turned on not more than 1 hour before business hours and turned off no later than 11 p.m. or 1/2 hour after close of business, whichever is later. And so we've included those. And all of the controls of the lighting will be on the building management system. There'll be controls to a photo cell and time clock in order to meet those.
Okay. Any
Okay.
DRB members have questions? No. Caitlin, anything to add?
No. No.
Anybody in the audience have any comments, questions? Nothing? Pardon? I know. Nothing? Okay, everybody's here but just listening.
We're good.
Okay. Pardon? The vote. All right.
What do we got?
What have we got? All right, I will make an attempt at a motion then. Probably. So I will move to close the hearing, finalize the record for applications DR 18-01 and SUB 17-05. Can I do them all together? Motion to approve at the same time? Caitlin?
Yeah,
Yes?
you can do that.
Okay. And I will also move to direct staff to prepare a decision indicating those applications are approved. So the conditions are where it could get hairy, probably.
I
No?
have them written down. Do you want me to just say them and?
Absolutely. Let's see if you're smart.
Okay. All right. So the conditions will be a zoning permit shall be required prior to commencing land development.
Mm-hmm.
A certificate of occupancy shall be required.
Okay.
Let's see. Where did Jeff? So all the plants in the island shall be replaced with shrubs no taller than 12 inches is what I gathered the cap to be.
Yeah.
A fence protection area shall be included around the existing cedar trees, and the ash trees along the entranceway shall be removed and replaced with 4 crabapple trees, 2 to the north side and 2 to the south side. And I think that's it.
And so in terms of the condition about protecting the existing mature trees, is that all we need? I mean, there was.
I think we should add just during construction.
Okay.
Right, okay. And the path of the proposed path? The position of the proposed
realignment of the
path
path to stay out of the tree.
to avoid the
stay out
drip
of
line.
the drip line of the tree. Realign the path in order to stay out of the drip line of the existing cedar tree. And did you pick up, I guess they're gonna either shift or relocate that crabapple tree?
If necessary.
If necessary? Is that? New, proposed,
one.
a proposed crabapple by the bench.
Did you say the fence protecting the area around the existing cedar is just during construction?
Right. Yeah. Do you want to emphasize that anymore, or is that enough?
Hmm?
Do you want to emphasize that protection anymore, or is that enough?
I think that's fine.
Okay. All right, so then I will make that motion that myself and Caitlin put together with help from Mark. Seconded by Lisa, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No nays, motion is carried. We got there eventually. Thank you.
Congratulations.
There you go.
Over there. Pop the cork. Can I was gonna put these together and put them in an envelope for Susan. Can I get, I don't have a copy for the record of.
If it makes a difference.
Demo what?
I don't know, do we need to?
Was it proposed?
Was that before us today?
Caitlin?
That's a Caitlin question.
Caitlin?
You still there?
Yeah, I'm hearing the mumbling. motion to approve the demolition. Is that what I heard between all that?
I think it was in our said something to the effect of approve the demolition.
Mary.
Yo.
So we're just trying to finalize, so if we could move out and then discuss, thank you.
So you're claiming that there was a motion to approve.
I believe our past staff report for our first final hearing said, because I think we also need to have the motion to approve the demolition, which we submitted that, and we had the recommendation from the HPDRC.
Did you hear
Is that correct, Caitlin?
I did hear that. I don't remember putting that in the previous staff report. Maybe that was part of the HPDRC staff report. We can make the motion to be safe.
I have it here.
Where?
And I happen to have the old staff report in front of me, but.
The preliminary plan staff report or the
I have
previous
preliminary.
final plan?
I have all of them with me.
The previous staff report from the last meeting.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we should definitely make a motion to put that in there. I didn't realize I had. Okay.
It wasn't in this from last meeting. From the May 2nd meeting, there was nothing in there about demolition, I don't believe. Oh, wait a minute. No, I take that back. Be authorized to demolish the existing structure per the recommendation of the HPDRC and prepare a final plat application with these following conditions.
That's it. Thank you.
That's the one.
So it's in
It was in the our
Previous.
last staff report. Yeah, it just didn't get carried over.
Okay. So let's do that to just,
They want to start.
Okay, so then I will make a motion that the applicant for DR 18-01 and SUB 17-05 shall be authorized to demolish the existing structure. I don't know if there's anything missing there. It just says existing structure.
No, tear that. Sorry about that. I got a little carried away with the paper. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know what else to be wanting to demolish, but
I think it said that the existing, yeah, there you go, the existing 1983 library structure. How's that?
Whatever structure they want. No.
is there something to second?
Wait. Per the written recommendation of the HPDRC and prepare a final plat application. Okay. So in the end, then should we have put? There's quite a few more conditions in this one than we
What are the
just
conditions
put
there?
about. Sign permit should be required prior to the installation of any signage. As-built plans should be provided as part of any certificate of occupancy application. Prior to the approval of a certificate of occupancy, all landscaping shall be installed and inspected by the administrative officer for compliance with the plans. I don't think the certificate of occupancy shall be required. 2-year performance bond for landscaping shall be submitted prior to obtaining a zoning permit. A final written recommendation from the HPDRC shall be required prior of clapboard colour. And a zoning permit shall be required prior to commencing land development, which is, we probably did that one at least.
Yeah, that was missing a few.
It was.
Any more?
That was it. So we only put 2 of those
Okay.
basic ones in the motion that we just passed, as well as our specifics
Okay,
about the landscaping
so
and.
shall I second what you just proposed?
Can we do that, Caitlin?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean.
You missed some of
The conditions usually evolve as I write the report anyway. It's just this is giving an indication to the applicant of what conditions they'll be dealing with. So if we're adding all of those conditions, I would suggest making a motion to do so. If it's
Right, which is, so that, I just read them out in the context of making a motion that the applicant be authorized to demolish the building per the written recommendation of the HPDRC and prepare a final plat application. So then I listed all the conditions, which maybe I should go through them again. We did the zoning permit.
Read them aloud.
So,
For the rest of it, because
okay, so I've started. So I don't understand this one though, Caitlin. A final written recommendation from the HPDRC shall be required prior of clapboard color. I just don't even know what the typo is there.
That's directly from the staff report prepared by, the staff report for the HPDRC meeting. So that's not a condition I was present for. So that's.
Did the HPDRC give you some guidance on colors?
The HPDRC, we gave them a palette of colors. They're happy with the palette, but they'd like to be involved in picking the final color when we do a mock-up on the site.
Okay.
It seems...
Okay, so then the condition is something along the lines of that a final written recommendation from the HPDRC will be required prior to finalizing clapboard color.
All right, I got it. A final written recommendation from the HPDRC shall be required prior to the selection of a clapboard color. That work?
That's great.
Okay.
Okay, so that was that condition.
Mm-hmm. Two-year performance
Two-year
bond.
performance bond for landscaping shall be submitted prior to obtaining a zoning permit. We mentioned the certificate of occupancy already.
Can I ask about the landscape bond? I know we discussed it last time, but it seems kind of like you're double bonding because it's a public project. We would absolutely ask for a 2-year warranty, but
No.
it seems like an expense that...
No. No sale.
companies
Company goes out of
and then
business, you have no enforcement.
Yeah.
Bond guarantees, and we have to do the same thing to the town that we do to all the other applicants. We require them to post a bond for the,
If a
their trees.
subcontractor posted the bond, would that be acceptable?
Sure. Yep, it's pretty simple bond. I mean, it's just a,
I understand doing that for development-driven projects. I just wasn't sure if it made sense to do it for a town project.
Sure, why not? Landscape dies, it needs replaced.
right, because if the trees, I've been in this situation before, okay? Trees die for a municipality. Trees die, landscaper goes out of business. You have recourse against the bonds to get the plants replaced. It's an insurance policy, so.
I think part of the discussion has been, and I fully understand and appreciate hold the town to the same standards as others, but being that this is a town and the town project, you are bonding sort of against your own self not performing.
No.
And
No,
so
that's not true.
no, so if they go through and this, say the trees die or whatever,
Right.
that the library would come back in and replace those, or the town would
With town money.
replace those.
With town money.
Town money, this is,
This bond, when you buy this bond, and it's not a lot of money,
Okay.
it's an insurance policy. So if XYZ Landscaping goes out of business and the trees die, a lot of towns ask for 3 years, we only ask for 2. The town's covered.
Which is fine, I just think the scheduling of the issuance of the bond prior to issuance of the permit.
No, I would say we would want to condition that the bond is in place.
Because we may not get that
Right.
until we're underway, but you will
Upon
have it.
completion of the landscaping, it would be
Prior to
bonded for 2 years.
certificate of occupancy. We'll make that a condition of the certificate of occupancy.
Well, the certificate of occupancy may happen prior to all the landscaping being complete.
It's a condition here.
Okay, all right.
right.
In order to get your CO, you gotta have all your landscaping in.
Okay, all right. With the exception of seeding and mulching, fully,
I believe
Grown?
it talks about landscape, it talks about plantings,
just
landscape
plantings.
plantings.
Okay,
And if you go for your C of O in January,
we will not be going for our C of O in
you're
January.
good, so.
certificate of occupancy will be required. We did that one already. Prior to the approval of the certificate of occupancy, all landscaping shall be installed and inspected by the administrative officer for compliance with the plans. As-built plans shall be provided as part of any certificate of occupancy application, and a sign permit shall be required prior to the installation of any signage. All right, so that was
Can we get clarification on the as-built? As-built of what?
as-built what?
So
Sorry.
in discussion with Dean and Caitlin, we were asking these as-built plans. First of all, what as-builts are you interested in?
We would be providing
Caitlin?
record drawings to the town regardless. As-built, I mean, we are swearing before you today that we are going to construct as applied for in this permit.
Okay. Okay.
So record drawings and as-built drawings are different, and so I just want to clarify there.
Any insight, Mark, to that one? I don't understand the
So
difference.
just to clarify where as-built drawings come from, in under site plan review, as-built drawings, it's 1900.12. And so it says, in accordance with section 2030.4 of these regulations, an application for a CO for the approved development shall include 3 sets of as-built plans certified by a licensed professional engineer showing the development as actually constructed. The as-built plan shall include all revisions, adjustments, modifications, and amendments to the originally approved site plan. As-built drawings shall be drawn to the same scale and with the same accuracy as the original site drawings. Where the site plan specifies quantities or dimensions, the as-built drawing shall verify those specifications.
Okay.
For recent,
It's a site plan.
Yeah. Is there a concern?
Yeah, it doesn't, we weren't sure that that was consistent with recent prior approvals. As-built drawings do, we have record drawings as part of our contract. As-built drawings are quite a bit more work to prepare. We'll do them if we have to.
I mean, Caitlin just read the rules.
So as-built drawings are only required for buildings that are over 5,000 square feet. So they're not required for all applications, but...
Okay, that might be the clarification we need then.
How many square feet we talking?
The new construction is about 9,000 square
Okay.
feet.
Okay.
What's the...
I don't think they're looking for the complete building. I think,
You're just looking for site,
yeah, I want the location of the building to make sure that
Right.
it's...
where it's supposed to be.
Where it's supposed to be.
That path that we talked about, you know,
Yeah.
the drip line.
Yeah.
It would be nice, I mean, it's basically...
That will be resubmitted for the record, though, prior to construction.
Good.
Right. Because things happen in the field that are not gonna be reflected on Peter's drawings later on, because, you know, I think we should get, you know, typically it's nice to know where the water lines come in the building. I mean, we're talking about a couple simple tie dimensions, maybe verify the rim elevations of the catch basins, and it's not, it's a,
For the
It
site.
is an extra expense, but it's really not a bad idea. I think one of the issues you guys ran into early on is not having as-built drawings to see where all the utility lines were. So,
If we could just clarify that that's for the site.
yeah, the position of the building, because, you know, location ties for the underground utilities. And, you know, like I said, maybe rims and invert elevation, things like that. I mean, it's not, we're talking about a day's worth of survey information probably, and another day of
That's fine.
plotting it on a drawing. I mean, you guys are gonna put the nice as-built and O&M package together for that building anyways, right? And give it to the...
Record drawings
Record
set
drawings?
and O&M set. Yeah.
Right. That are gonna go somewhere and evaporate 20 years from now.
Hope not.
Digitized.
Yeah.
Be in the cloud.
Yeah, there you go.
I downloaded all my books now.
Alright, so I think I have an outstanding motion to authorize the demolition with with all those conditions. So, seconded by Lisa. All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
And we can just, we're gonna get another look at this when we see the final decision, which Kate's gonna work up soon.
Right.
Thank you.
So, well picked up about the demolishing part. About hopefully we covered everything. All right, then, I guess, is there any other business or correspondence?
Seemed like there were some things to
We
sign.
done with the
though.
agenda?
Yes, we are.
I don't have anything.
Do we have stuff to sign?
I thought there was some.
What's that?
There's no purple folder here, so.
Yes, there is. It's just under this pile.
Oh, there is?
I thought I saw it somewhere.
There's a purple folder, there's a lot of things to sign.
The dreaded purple
Alright.
folder.
Should we
All right,
start?
there we go.
Yes, yes, okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you, seconded by Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye. Oh.